Welcome to the 𝗙𝗂𝗿 𝗙𝗶𝗿 channel. I'm your host, Melissa O'Connor. In today's video, I wanted to talk about prepaid burial contracts when applying for Medicaid. Sometimes I have people come to me ready to plan for a Medicaid application, and they have already purchased a prepaid burial plan. And that's okay. We just need to make sure that that prepaid burial contract is not considered an asset when applying for Medicaid. And to do that, we need to make sure that this prepaid burial contract meets certain criteria. So one of the criteria we want to explore is whether the contract can be liquidated without significant hardship to the individual. Or could the contract seller, do they refuse to revoke or liquidate the contract? Or a third element would be if the contract itself says that it's irrevocable. If the contract meets any one of those three criteria, the state of Florida will not consider this prepaid burial contract an asset when reviewing your Medicaid application. So if you don't have a prepaid burial contract, and that's something that you think, hey, that would be a really good thing to have, especially when you're looking to apply for Medicaid and you're considering possible spin down opportunities, so you have to spend some of your assets in an effort to qualify. Prepaid burial is a no-brainer. Everybody is going to need some sort of burial service or cremation or something, however you want your remains to be handled. And paying for that in advance, it's a no-brainer that makes it easy for your family, and it's a reasonable expenditure that you know that you're going to need, or your family's going to have to put out the money at some time in the future. So it's a good spin down that lots of people choose. One of the things that we want to keep in mind, if that is a spin down that you would like to choose, is that both you and your spouse may set aside up to $2,500 each for burial expenses. The state of Florida will not they won't consider it not an asset if the amount of money that you are seeking to set aside for your burial expenses is more than $2,500 per person. Another thing that you could do is buy burial spaces for you or family members. That's not included as an asset as long as those are irrevocable. So if you could sell that space to somebody else, then it would be considered an asset. But if it's a burial spot that you purchased for yourself or your spouse or maybe your children, as long as it's irrevocable, that is not considered an asset for Medicaid application purposes. So I hope that this information has been helpful to you as you consider whether or not your burial contract, your prepaid burial contract, is considered an asset or not for Medicaid purposes, or if you're in the market to shop for prepaid burial contracts that you want to keep an eye. If you think that you're going to use this as a spin down for Medicaid purposes, that you ensure that your contract would be compliant with the Medicaid requirements. If this information has been helpful to you, I ask that you like and share with others. Thank you for joining me.